Discipline, discipline. Don't many of us need more discipline? Do you need more discipline? Do you need better discipline? If you had more discipline, do you think you'll see better results in your health and fitness? I think so. If you're like most people, you would say if you had better discipline, if you had better follow through, if you had better mental commitment to your goals, you would probably see better results, including me. There are always things I can improve on when it comes to discipline. So today I want to talk to you about discipline. These are some of the concepts that I go through with myself, that I go through with my clients to help them look, move, and feel better. And I assure you, if you go through these 6 steps, these simple 6 steps that many people do not go through, you will see better results in your health and fitness because we're trying to set up the framework to see better results. Now, discipline, I think, is interesting because there are different conceptions of discipline. There are different definitions of discipline depending on who you ask. Many people, I would say, would think discipline is a form of punishment. If you don't do something correctly, you'll be punished. There's reprimand. There are consequences to your behaviors and actions. And while I think that's absolutely true, there are other aspects of discipline that I think are really equally important. Number 1, discipline is about learning. It comes from the root word disciple, and disciple learns a new skill. When it comes to discipline, it's about the ability to learn a new skill, to educate yourself, to gain knowledge, to learn a new skill. And then, of course, discipline is the ability to take that knowledge and education and perform it in an action, to do the right things, to obey behaviors, laws, and behaviors, right? So it's our ability to take that action and then execute on those behaviors. And then, of course, if we don't commit to the right behaviors, then we suffer the consequences. It doesn't necessarily have to be disciplinary actions. Disciplinary action could be not seeing better results. And if those disciplinary actions outweigh the benefits of you performing an inappropriate behavior, that's when change can happen. So at the end of the day, it's about trying to align our desires and our intentions with our behaviors, and that's how we improve our discipline. So let's talk for the next few minutes about how to improve those things using 6 simple steps. The first 3 steps comes through a line of questioning that I got out of Alan Stein's book. And Alan Stein is a performance and a mental toughness coach for a lot of world-class athletes. So in his book, Step Up Your Game, he lists out 3 simple steps to get started on the process of improving and getting a better idea of your discipline. Those questions are: number 1, decide exactly what you want. Number 2, determine the price you have to pay. Number 3, choose whether or not you are willing to pay it. So in the first one, we're trying to identify what it is you want. Many people have no clue what they want. And if they do have a clue, the clue is not clear. First step, gaining clarity on what you want. What is it that you want? Really, truly, clearly. Not just losing weight. Losing weight is kind of lifting the veil. But what is truly underneath there? Why do you want to lose weight? And why is it important that you lose weight? I think those questions need to be addressed when it comes to gaining clarity. Number 2, determine the price you have to pay. Now, this is about the sacrifices, the compromises that you have to commit to. This is where you talk about some of the trade-offs. Many people might not be willing to trade off what they currently have in order to achieve what they want. Maybe it's because they're comfortable right now and they're not comfortable giving up what they're comfortable with, and that's okay. But here's the thing, if you want to see better results than what you're currently experiencing right now, then you probably do need to experience some trade-offs. So identify the things that you have to compromise, what you have to pay in order to get that return on investment. And then finally, this is the mental commitment. This is much harder than what it sounds. Choose whether or not you're willing to pay it. Are you willing to pay for those compromises and trade-offs? This is that mental commitment that we were talking about. Can't have good discipline if you don't mentally commit to having good discipline. Pretty simple enough, right? How many of us have gone through this 3-step process? I would say not many. Evidenced by the fact that when I counsel people, new people, or even clients who have been working with me for a while and they're experiencing a stall, or we're trying to recalibrate, we go through these questions and we find new answers. And when we find these new answers, we get more enlightened. And when we get more enlightened, we get more motivated. And when we get more motivated, we see better results. Because because we have more clarity. We know exactly, we have a better idea of what we need to do. After these 3 simple questions, you identify the next 2 things that could have the biggest positive or negative impact on the development of our discipline. Number 1, your social environment, who you hang out with. And number 2, your physical environment, what you surround yourself with. First one is about the social aspect, the support structure, and how that support structure tempts you to doing the right things or the wrong things. The late Jim Rohn, a success coach, once said, "We are the average of the 5 people closest around us." Using that statement, it would be safe to assume that if we hang around with a bunch of people who don't care about their health, the chances are higher we won't care about our health. We are social creatures, and we become influenced by people around us. We engage in groupthink. It's one of those things that we have a difficult time getting away from. With that taken into consideration, we want to try to surround ourselves with people who might not necessarily have our best interests in mind, but have the best interest in mind of the group. And I think that will improve likelihood that we are going to succeed. Then the physical environment, what you surround yourself with. If you have a sweet tooth, what do you think of the chances are that you will try to satisfy that sweet tooth and craving if you have sweets in your pantry? It's one of the first steps that I try to do with my clients is, what's in your pantry? What's in your fridge? What's in your kitchen? How do you go grocery shopping? What types of foods do you buy? And that will give me a much better idea on their consumer behavior. If we can get a better idea of what makes people tick, what they want to eat, why they want to eat, then we'll have a better shot at controlling discipline. For example, a lot of people eat with their emotions. A lot of people eat crappy foods that are probably not going to be put into their plan when they're happy, when they're sad, when they're anxious, when they're depressed. So we're going to try to address those first. And we're not going to address them by saying, oh, cut them out, although that's probably the best thing. Going cold turkey could be good for a lot of people. But it's about how do we mitigate the damage? How do we manage the collateral damage? And that's where I think a lot of discipline can be improved. Because going cold turkey for some people might not work, even if they've tried it in the past. And then finally, the last step, make a plan. So now that we have better clarity on what you want, how you're going to develop that discipline, now that we have an idea of what type of trade-offs are required, and then we have made the mental commitment to give into those trade-offs, and then we've identified things in our environment that contribute to our discipline, now it's time to make a plan. Write down what your day is going to look like. You can either do it the day before or you can do it the morning of. Write down exactly how you want your day to unfold. Spend about 2 to 3 minutes writing down that day. This is called day planning, right? It's not, I don't know if it's actually called day planning, but basically, literally speaking, day planning. You're trying to plan for the day. You're not going to be 100%, but the idea is you get better at predicting your day, anticipating some of the roadblocks and challenges that you'll experience, and then coming up with recalibration plans. If something doesn't work out the way you had hoped, then what are you going to do in order to stay on track? So instead of getting knocked completely off the path, you kind of stumble, but you get right back on. So making a plan is extremely important. So you have the intentions, you have the desires, you have the behaviors, and then you have the plan. You have to act, because discipline doesn't happen on its own. So this is David of Strong by Lee. We talked about discipline. I hope it was helpful. Discipline is always something so interesting for me to talk about, and I'm sure discipline is always interesting for you to talk about, because it's one of those things that we're always going to need one time or another, one way, shape, form, or another. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot them over to me, david@strongbylee.com. If you want to share your stories, experiences, perspectives on a discipline, shoot them over to me, david@strongbylee.com. If you need some personalized guidance, programming, assistance, accountability, let's hop on the phone, let's talk, no strings attached, complimentary. See how my personalized services can help you look, move, and feel better. David@strongbylee.com. Until next time, be strong, be disciplined.